There we go. Recording, right? Yeah.
Hello, welcome to episode 13 of Drop Third Strike with myself, Terry Ganton, Chicago, Illinois, and my podcast partner, Beth Davies Stofka in Denver, Colorado. What's up, Beth?
Hello. Hello. So the steampunk goggles.
I am I dug out my Dr. Midnight cosplay goggles because we are in uncharted territory now that the season is over. Like with in terms of free agency, hot stove, player movement, player salary, the collective bargaining agreement, everything. We are in such a wild sort of here there be dragons kind of situation that I'm trying to get prepped for it. So I'm gonna dig out all of my for good luck. I'm gonna dig out all my baseball props over the coming weeks. I've got the easiest thing I had nearby was my 2003 All-Star game. It was held in Chicago, my All-Star game bobblehead.
Oh wow!
I've always thought it was Griffey, but I actually think it's Bonds. Like when I look at just the size of its head. I got like there's a cabinet over here next to me, but the couch is kind of in the way of it, so you really can't see it. It's this cabinet that has these books. Some of it has graphic novels and some other memorabilia we got over the years. But like inside of this cabinet, there are like 5 or 6 unopened boxes of baseball cards from like some year in the 90s. So they're probably not worth very much. I think I'm just gonna like once a week open a pack.
Yes.
Just to see if I have like, just like if somehow I got like a damn police sack or like.
I think that is like one of the best off-season. That is so much fun. I have a drawer. I think it was so yours are like really wonderfully like old because I have a drawer where in 2002 or 2003. I read this like self-help tip, which is to buy yourself presents and wrap them and then leave them places where you just find them and then you like have a present.
I do this with comics and graphic novels. Like I'll acquire things or bring stuff home, because like, when I place my order, I will also think sometimes about what I want for my own birthday or for Christmas or something. So I'll include like things that are like meant to be gifts for myself later on. Yeah. And then, here it is November and I'll be like, I need to read something. What do I got? And that's why I look behind me and I see like things I haven't read that I've acquired. And it's like that thing, I'm going to read that thing. Look at this. I have it. It's in my house, A lot of times it's that. I don't often like get a thing and read it immediately. It's like I get it and then I save it up for when I need it,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can do book shopping in my house and yep, can even do a bit of clothes shopping in my house. And yep, I have a drawer in the bedroom where I followed that tip and I got some things and I wrapped them. I got them professionally wrapped actually, and they have like little things like happy birthday and stuff on them. And then I didn't ever open them. So I actually have things that 2002-year-old Beth thought she would really want. And I guess, sometime over this off season, because this is going to be a tough one. This is going to be a really like tougher than usual. And so why is it though, in particular, that you think that this is like stop midnight goggles worthy?
Because I took them off because they're hot. My forehead's not like it's 34 degrees in Chicago. Yeah. The heat is on in my apartment, and like instantly within 5 minutes, my forehead's starting to sweat. It's like, no, this is why I do cosplay in the winter and I go outside for it. Right? I don't want an indoor event for any cosplay because everything I've ever done that involved any kind of cosplay involved a costume part that was warmer than it needed to be. Screw that. So one of the problems is like one of the things that leads teams to be able to improve themselves has to do with the amount of revenue you took in the previous year. Right. Yeah. So your budget is set by like, well, all right, this is going to be our budget because we made X. So we made X, we can spend X plus something, right? Or, something to that effect, right? We know we can do that. In a year in which you had no fans in the stands and your concessions were gone and your TV revenue was wonky, right? In a year in which this happened, I'm waving to Steve.
I see.
In a year in which this is the case, teams can't spend like they would have normally spent. They're going to, in fact, even though we know like the owners are billionaires, of course they can spend like they normally will. We also know they won't, right? Yeah. So since they won't, what is actually going to happen? Teams that need help are going to try to find that help on the cheap, right? Teams that are a little bit away might just take the shot, right? Like I could see teams that know they're on the cusp, like the Padres. I see the Padres being like, all right, let's add a pitching piece. It's a pitching park. We can add a pitching piece, but I don't see the Padres being like, who hey, George Springer, right? Primo free agent George Springer. I don't know that the Padres in any other year, absolutely the Padres might go for a George Springer. I don't know if this is that year, right? I'm not sure they would. They consider themselves still a small market team. I don't think they make the push for Springer, whereas the Yankees, who are always going to be in the mix for something, might make the push for Springer. But a team like the Cubs, who were looking to see if they can get a trade partner for one of their, like a Javi Baez or a Chris Bryant, now they really have to reevaluate it. Like, maybe somebody's got to move, but what would they be moving for? Who would we have brought in before? Maybe now we're not bringing that guy in. It might now be like we need to make a trade as opposed to make a signing, right? We might need to get a little bit, not to say that they're old, but like we might need to trade for someone's prospects because that is cheaper for us, given what we just went through, than to sign, like, let's, hypothetically, Tommy Gonsolin if he were a free agent, or Blake Snell if he were a free agent. Like, these things, teams would normally, when they think they can make a push, they would buy somebody, right? They would trade a good piece to get more core talent if they thought they were a few years away, right?
Yeah.
But if you think you're there, it requires you to pay somebody to come to your team to get you over the hump. You would kind of make one of those moves like the Dodgers went in and got Mookie Betts because it wasn't a COVID season when they were doing that, right? I don't know how far away the Dodgers would have seen themselves if they hadn't gotten there now, if they hadn't won the World Series, which they did. If they'd not won the World Series and Mookie Betts were available, would the Dodgers have gone for Betts and tried to sign him? I'm not sure they would. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
I think now we're at teams that are literally knocking on the door, might still do it if you've got the funds. Everybody else is going to scale back a little bit, cry broke. You're going to remember how a couple years ago we had Craig Kimbrell still unsigned. We had Dallas Keuchel still unsigned midway through the season.
That's right. Yeah, that was weird. Like, they didn't sign anybody. It was just like this long waiting game.
Yes.
And that was supposedly going to have this big effect this season. It was supposedly going to impact the collective bargaining agreement. It was supposedly going to be like the biggest deal ever. That's right. And it got killed by COVID, which became
that waiting game was all about the owners trying to stick together and say, we don't have the money to pay these guys market rate. By mid-season, somebody found the money. Right? They found a suitcase with some cash in it. And they were like, look at that. Has Craig Kimbrell's name on it, said the Cubs. And he's still on the Cubs. Right?
He wrapped it in a happy birthday wrapping and put it in a drawer for 20 years.
Entirely they did. They sure did. And they found it, right? But now, with having like given up as much revenue as they're going to tell us they gave up, now is going to be that time when there's some player out there who's saying, now it's my turn.
Yeah.
And some teams are going to be like, I'm not so sure. Right? The Phillies, who believed they were in contention, who signed Bryce Harper, who honestly were not in contention, right? They couldn't get it done, are not going to add a piece to Bryce Harper and the rest of the young Phillies core. They're not going to do it.
Right.
The Astros are going to have to lose some pieces, right? They're not going to replace George Springer with a George Springer plus, right? It's just not going to happen, Like all the teams, there's so many teams that we were seeing who like, I was hoping would be able to beat the Dodgers or beat the Yankees, or, like this kind of the way this is kind of going on. It was like, Atlanta has nothing but young talent, right? Yes. But if Atlanta is one player away, that might be one free agent player away. Would Atlanta be willing to spend to get one more guy to sign there? And I'm not sure that they would be.
Oh.
I would see Atlanta going down to their farm and bringing up one more hot ass young player to go with Ozzie Albies and go with Freddie Freeman and go with Ronald Acuna Jr. You've got two guys on your team with MVP caliber that are your guys, right? So like I don't see them looking at free agency and going, maybe we can give 20-30 million to a guy to get us over the hump. I see them saying next year things have got to fall back, right? Like the Dodgers won't repeat, right? Next year, if we have more than 60 games, we have 120 games, or 100. If we play 162 next year, it's a whole different ball game. We can wait it out for the trade deadline and see if we get a trade piece, but we ain't paying for it. Having took that hit.
All this work that we've done to fix the Twins, all of our Twins plans. How does this affect our plans?
It's funny too. Like, right, the Twins are like literally the best example of a small market team that is traditionally broke, that has been waiting to possibly spend money on one guy.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly. They're not spending money on two guys, right?
Right.
Is there a top-notch pitcher and a top-notch position player they could use to really make it happen? I just don't see them finding the hottest free agent out there and paying that dude's price when you're the Twins.
Right.
But as close as you got, that's kind of the time to do it. That's why you're nickel and diming it for 10, 15 years to get to that point where you're like, now look at our core. Our core is amazing.
Yeah.
You know, your Sano and your Byron Buxton. Like, you've got guys there who are hot to play.
Yeah.
Right. And now's the time to do it. Except that now in COVID year, people are gonna be like, nope, we're dirt poor.
It's completely different. Yeah, that is. Now, do you think that there are teams that are really going to surprise us and just start turning on fire hoses all over the place and showering potential free agents with money?
So here's the way I think it always goes. I think at first the owners are all in lockstep, right? Until someone can literally see that they're right there, and then they break. Right? Like everyone's poor until it gets to be like, ooh, we can run away and hide with this thing. We need a piece. Then it's like, hey, what's Aroldis Chapman want? Right? You know, it's that thing. It's like the Cubs didn't get Aroldis Chapman in 2016. When they started the season, they traded for him in the season.
That's true. That's
true, to get that piece that they wanted. But the kind of team that will pay immediately is the Yankees. Yeah. They just don't care. The Dodgers. If they didn't win it and they were a one player away, they might make that move because they're going to go with their deep pockets. They'll break ranks before everybody else does. Mm-hmm. You know? Okay, so what are the Mets going to do? Suck. The Mets have a problem. Like, the Mets have a real problem. So having a new owner isn't going to fix things for them? Man, like, I think that the first thing, your new owner comes in and then it becomes an organizational fix, right? Like, your pitching staff has been stellar when they're healthy. You got a couple of position players like Pete Alonso, who just shocked the world last year, but not this year. Right. What are you doing to, like, get those guys' confidence back? That's a managerial issue, right? What are you doing to change the culture of your organization so it's not, oh, here we go again. Somebody's got a bum elbow, bum shoulder. You know, what is it? What's the thing that's going to stop you from having the specter of what happened to Matt Harvey just cover your team, right? Like, Matt Harvey was your dude, right? But then luckily you had DeGrom and like other cats who like came up and it was, we're okay without Matt Harvey. Turns out you weren't, right? Like, those guys couldn't get it done for you because you still needed something else. And I don't know, man, the Mets, what they signed, like they didn't have Puig, they had the other guy. They had Cespedes. That didn't work out, right? No, he was over the hill. Yeah, and he hurt himself. And this is the thing. Mm-hmm. He hurt himself. Yeah. And then he hurt himself. Yep. Like, this is what starts. If you're the Mets, this stuff kills you. Yeah. Right? It kills you. You need a top-down sort of overhaul of like how you build your team, and you might want to think more about being the Rays than being the Mets. Yeah. Right? Like, you have to be, you're going to need a whole bunch of guys who don't know that the Mets have always sucked. Right. And who go out there and just run through fiery walls because they have no other choice but to do that, because that's how they play baseball, instead of having guys who are just waiting for something to go wrong again, which is what the Mets always look like. The Mets always look like we're great as long as DeGrom's pitching. Yeah. Yeah, but DeGrom can't pitch every game. Yeah. Right? What are you guys offensively doing all these other times? Who are you attacking? Who are you putting pressure on? How do you put pressure on opposing pitchers? The Mets should get faster, right? And load themselves up with doubles hitters. Mm-hmm. You know, that's what they should do. Effectively, that's what you got with the Rays. Exactly. And let's talk about this World Series, because we had that one last game. Yeah, that's right. That's one right. Last game. Yeah, I think we had two last games, because I was going over this in my mind, and I think since we talked last, we had the game because we talked about whether anybody would try to steal home in the World Series. And I was like, that's not possible. And you were like, well, it could be if it was Mookie Betts. And then it turns out to be Manny Margot. Yes. And it was against Clayton Kershaw. So I could totally see the thinking there. Right. Yep. But this time it didn't work because Kershaw had someone tried out there with Muncy. Right. But he tried. And that was so cool. We got to see somebody attempt a steal of home base. And not only did someone attempt it, it was like the team that attempted it stealing it home is the kind of play the Rays have made all season.
Yeah. And
we're going to keep pressure on you. We're going to keep it moving. You're going to hate playing against us.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And if Max Muncy wasn't paying a little more attention, it would have worked.
It would have worked. It was so close. It was such a close play. He was so almost there. But then it seemed like the Rays never did anything after that. So for the rest of that game, which was almost over anyway, and then the entire rest of game 7, they didn't do anything. 6, sorry. They didn't do anything.
6. When you say it's like almost like there were 2 games,
yeah,
I think about it like there were 2 games. There was no major league team has ever done this, but the Rays might need to do a thing where Kevin Cash is your manager for the first 4 innings, and then someone else is your manager for the next 5 innings. Because in a tale of 2 games, the Rays lost that game because Kevin Cash literally became the sabermetric sort of analytics manager, which I understand, right? I completely get it. Instead of watching the game, now play the game that's in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Blake Snell is kicking their asses.
Right.
He is unhittable. Not only is he unhittable, he is doing to the Dodgers what you were trying to get Tommy Gonsolin to do.
Yeah.
Right? And Tommy Gonsolin could not do. Right.
Yeah.
He is throwing his fastball. Right. He's keeping them off balance with his break and stuff. Everything is a strike.
Yep.
Right. So when the fastball comes, he's not having to throw at 103 miles an hour.
Yeah,
that's necessary.
Right.
He's not doing that. He's throwing 99. He's throwing 98. Right. He's not cranking it up to triple digits because he didn't have to.
Right.
In the previous game, the reason why their other young stud ass pitcher was getting rocked is because this dude, when he was trying to crank it up to 103, he couldn't throw a strike, right? And he had to now, like, the harder he tried to throw it, the less action the ball would have, and the Dodgers just sat on it.
Yeah.
And then when he threw his breaking stuff, it's all shortened in the dirt. Like, this dude's wild. Like, you can't just, you can go up there and just go slider at the knee, slider at the knee, slider at the knee if you want to, but he didn't want to do that. He wanted to like overthrow to blow these dudes out of the water. And nah, Blake Snell didn't do that. Blake Snell went up there and he pitched to these dudes and he saw that they couldn't hit it and he kept throwing it and saw they couldn't hit it. And so what if a guy gets a hit off you or a double off you? So what? He doesn't score?
Yeah.
Right? He ain't scoring. So we keep going. If the Dodgers are going to, if Blake Snell pitches into the 8th and the Dodgers beat you in the last 2 innings, maybe I get that. Yeah. But you took that dude out and immediately that bullpen gave up all kinds of hits and runs.
Oh, exactly. It was awful. Yeah. Yeah. It was 2 games for sure. Yeah. No wonder I felt that way. And you know, that whole idea, that idea actually by having Cash manage like the beginning and somebody else come, that is brilliant because the Rays invented the opener, right?
Yep.
Like they trotted that whole idea out there and nobody else had ever seen it or just believed it could happen.
People discussed it, but weren't brave enough to try it.
Yeah, exactly. So now we can have like opener
start the game.
Just take what you did on the mound, put it in the dugout. So yeah, okay, you're our manager for you know, depending on how you're doing, we might take you out in the 4th.
Yes, yes. You're the manager until the game is official. We'll give you 5 2/3. We'll give you 5 2/3. And then stunt manager, come on in here, man. You finish this off.
Yeah, give the manager 100 pitches. You have to stay in for 100 pitches.
That's it. Your manager's on a move count.
Yeah.
You're on a move count, man. You get 100 pitches, 100 swings, whichever comes first, and then you're out, bro. You just go lay out, man. Go down to the dugout, get yourself a drink. You know what I'm saying? Order a burger or something. You're done. Hit the showers, buddy. It's good. Bench guy's got it from here.
I have to listen to all of our episodes again, which I plan to do actually, because there's 3 things I got to get. I got to get all the things that we proposed to fix baseball.
Sure.
I got to get all because you're just, one of the things that you do is so brilliant is you have these like really great alternative careers for people, like what they look like with Jamie Moyer and the high school biology teacher, right?
Yep.
And the third thing is I just have to find all the things that we suggested for the twins. And that's definitely one of my little off-season tasks. But the other thing is that we need to brainstorm some more, not now necessarily unless you want to, but brainstorm some more, because we had that really great segment about how we'd redesign ballparks and I forgot to record it. So that we want to do.
Okay.
Yeah. So those are some of our podcast plans, teasers, people. No spoilers. And or Legion of Fan. I heard we have 30. Maybe we have 60 by now.
Possibly.
Yep.
Possibly. We're growing.
We're getting famous.
We have 1 fan per game, maybe.
Yep. Yep, I think that's what we have. And yeah, so we're going to transfer this to podcast too. That's you know, to make that alternative, so we're like on the go, we're become portable. So that's another plan that I have. Another, yeah, a digression. Let's go back to the World Series, really, because we yeah, that's the fix, really, is to have Kevin Cash do that.
Yep.
So it's not entirely fair that the Rays did nothing after Manny Margot's, they did nothing offensively after Manny Margot failed to fully steal home plate. He almost got there. They did something on the mound for sure, but they just never really seemed to happen again at the plate, except the one home run by Arozarena in Game 6. And that was a beautiful Game 6 until they took Snell out. Yeah, that was so close. It was just so mind-bendingly close.
In 2021, with a full season of Arozarena.
Yeah,
you know, and it's funny too, because he wasn't even supposed to be on the team, right? So it's like, when spring training begins, they're gonna invite Randy Arozarena to spring training like they're doing him a favor, right?
I know, right?
And that dude was their team in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He was the whole damn team. You know, it's gonna be great to see that. You know, he's gonna be on that team for an entire season, and then the trick with him is gonna be watching whether or not people finally make adjustments to him by the All-Star break. Yes. Right? Because pitchers are gonna adjust to him. They're gonna find out where his weakness is, and then how he adjusts to that.
That's right.
You know?
That's right. So he can have an excellent first half. He can win the home run derby, and then he can become a non-factor after that.
Which we, you know, like ideally, what you see is like guys like this. They pound home runs in the beginning, even if they don't do home run derby. What I think starts to happen is managers and teams start to manage and play differently when you're approaching the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Because now you need these games. If you're in a tight race, now you can't do wild, crazy shit, you know, that was happening in the beginning of the season. Now it's got to be making sure you're winning. Yeah. Like people aren't stealing as much, right? Like swing for the fences if you're swinging for the fences, but don't swing for the fences and strike out a ton. You're just creating outs for us, right? We need to beat these guys. We need to win our division, let's say, or you're fighting for a wild card. The Rays aren't going to be in wild card position. They were like the number 1 seed. So like they're expected to win that damn division. And the Yankees, like if you're not playing a COVID split schedule, right, where you're only playing the teams on the East, if they get a full baseball season in with actual travel, it's gonna be a lot different than seeing the same damn teams over and over and over again, right? Like there'll be some guys who don't see him, who haven't seen him, right? The Dodgers are the only team that would have played against him that wasn't already in the East.
That's right.
You know, every other team in the Midwest, let's say, you know, like they've never seen this guy before. So this is going to be real interesting to see how folks adjust to him. You know, it might be that he pounds everybody else's pitching except people in the AL East, right?
Yeah, right. We already know his track record against the AL East. Yeah, yeah.
What were your other takeaways from the game?
From the World Series, I think that I actually made a little list for you of just World Series stuff. So yeah, that attempt to steal home plate was probably my biggest thing, even though it's not necessarily the biggest thing, but it's just something that I never thought in my lifetime I would see. You know, it was another unprecedented thing. Just to add to a whole unprecedented 2020 was having that. That was pretty great. And I'm just grateful for the guts that took. Yep. And I'm sorry for the outcome, because it did seem to me like that was the very last thing that the Rays offense did. And I don't know what is the effect there. Like, I don't know why. Is it just, I mean, it could just be coincidence. It could just be that in the number of innings left that there were to play, nothing particularly happened, and it had nothing to do with that failed.
Yeah, if it was a 14 inning game, if that were the case, you might have seen the Rays come to life a little bit. They needed more time to not have like guys with electric stuff throwing at them. That's basically it, right? You needed to be able to wear somebody down or get to somebody who just didn't quite have it. And in that game, all the Dodgers kind of had it.
Yeah, like, and if they could have just pushed to Game 7, I think that would have happened, and I think that was probably the rationale behind trying to steal home plate.
Yes,
but given that historically, and for what, you know, my lifetime doubled or something, that nobody has tried to steal home plate during the World Series, that was so cool.
So cool.
That really made it. The next thing that was my big takeaway, I actually I think texted you about this like almost immediately, is why was Corey Seager the MVP of the World Series? I totally don't understand that.
It's a little odd, but it's like also Corey Seager had some big bomb home runs, but he also had some home run stealing plays, right? So it might be like everything that Corey Seager did. The only issue I have with it is so did Mookie Betts.
Yeah.
Right? Mookie Betts did what Corey Seager did, but also like while moving backwards and wearing high heels. You know what I'm saying? Like he Ginger Rogered it, you know? Like
exactly.
So to me, it's like, Corey Seager. Where? Like, I mean, it's like a 1 and 1A almost, but I would have picked Betts.
I think you would have.
You don't get there. You don't get there. You don't win this series without Mookie Betts.
Yeah. And I mean, Legion of Fan and all of Legion of Fans friends who are also in the Legion. If you go back and you listen to our episode from last week, there was no World Series conclusion. There was no World Series champion. And we had a lot of, I think, very insightful comments to make about the Dodgers going and getting Mookie Betts to make them a World Series champion. That was the whole reason to sign Mookie Betts. Right. And so Mookie Betts did what he was brought there to do.
Yes.
He was there and they won the World Series. How is that not your MVP?
Yes.
I don't understand that.
And he wasn't just on the team and they won the World Series. He got you there and he kept you in it and he put you ahead at times. Right? His presence was everything. His presence was the difference. Factor. Yeah.
And so that I don't know. I thought he was robbed. He would never say so because he's got way too much grace. Right. So I'll say it instead. Mookie Betts was robbed, and he was so obviously the MVP.
Corey Seager like was fine like in the World Series. He really did do some cool shit, and for it to not be, let's say, Cody Bellinger, right? Like is who I was thinking of. I was thinking of Cody Bellinger, like stealing home runs and things like that. Like all three of these guys played excellently in the World Series.
They did.
Right. But if it came down to Bellinger or Betts, I would say that makes a sense as an argument. Yep. But Seager versus Betts, I don't know. I'm going with Betts.
Yeah, me too. So Mookie, if you're out there, you're World Series MVP.
Yeah.
At least in the land of the drop third strike.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was
my second runner up is going to be Randy Arozarena.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know. Like that would have been a tough call if the Rays had actually won the World Series and you were going to have a World Series MVP on the Rays side. Would it have been Blake Snell? Because I'm thinking yes.
Almost have to be because you are done in the water without that game he pitched. He was keeping you in that game. Yep. Until his manager
took him out
nuts and just did some goofy thing.
Yep. Yep, and it was game 2 or game 3 that he pitched where that was the one where I was at Stevie Nicks, but I had the game on.
That was game 2. Yeah, you missed game 2 because game 1 was on a Monday.
Yeah, okay.
And I was home. Oh, no, I think it was either Monday. It might have been a Tuesday. I know I can get home early. That was part of the issue was that I'd be home.
Monday was an off day.
Yeah, Monday was the off day.
Game 1 was Tuesday, and then
game 2 immediately was Wednesday.
And I was off seeing the Stevie Nicks concert. But what I found out, I never caught you up on this. What I found out is that you can go to a movie that's a documentary of a pop rock kind of a concert, right? And you can put your earbuds in and you can fire up the game on the MLB app.
Okay.
And I wouldn't say that one actually cancels the other out. They actually, oddly enough, balanced each other. Like I had to turn it up pretty loud.
Okay.
But crazy enough, I could follow the game and follow the Stevie Nicks concert. And the only cost was that I couldn't understand anything Stevie Nicks said, but I could.
But you could see Mookie Betts like on stage, like with Fleetwood Mac, sort of sashaying his hips back and forth.
Yeah,
okay, and moving, swinging scarves all around. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and running around the bases like there was this big screen behind her. And in fact, that would have been a really cool like visual is to like broadcast a World Series game while you're doing pop rock. That would be that would be pretty cool. Make everybody happy. And
it is hilarious that Stevie Nicks had this Hall of Fame music career, and you're just like, damn it, Stevie Nicks. What in the hell? Why are you interfering with my baseball postseason? Whoever you are.
Yeah, well, it is possible to do both. So, I don't know if Lisa has a thing that's an alternative to death metal or pro wrestling that she likes, but trust me, you can actually make it happen.
It's the radio show This American Life.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
it might be hard to hear Ira Glass. Yeah, it might be tough. Yeah. Might be tough because, like with baseball, you only have to be able to hear, oh, it was a strike. Oh, he's down.
Usually, like so there's one famous story that I tell people about. One time we went to Cincinnati for a pro wrestling show, and it was like a memorial show for like a wrestler who'd passed away. It was to raise money for his wife and kids, right? Like, and this is years ago. Like that dude's son is now a pro wrestler himself.
Oh wow!
But we were there, and I didn't expect that she would actually watch the wrestling, and of course she didn't. She let me go into the gymnasium where the event was being held, and she just brought a couple books and stayed out in the hallway, right? And then like just read books while I was in there watching wrestling. This show was like 4 or 5 hours long, And then when it was over with and I came out, she was like, "Did you love it? Did you enjoy the show?" I was like, "Yeah, it was great. It's fantastic. What'd you do?" And she said, "I just hung out here talking to these ladies." And it turned out that while I was watching the show, some of the big famous wrestlers who had come to do this memorial show, their moms were in the hallway with Lisa. Like, so she just hung out and she would like name the people's moms that she was talking to. And I was like, holy crap, you got to meet so-and-so's mom. That's cool, right? It's great. Cause like, you just see these ladies out there and they're like, "You're out here reading a book. Why aren't you in there?" She's like, "I don't like this stuff. My husband likes this stuff." And they're like, "Well, what?" And then Lisa's like, "Why are you here?" "Well, my son's wrestling." "Who's your son?" It's some like famous wrestler, that like Lisa didn't know that person's name, but I recognized them. So like, yeah, that's cool. So that's what we tend to do. Yeah, we just
excellent outcome.
The universe in half.
That's the whole reason why you do things together.
Yeah, we'll just split the universe in half, and then there'll be something that is like, sometimes it's a thing where I've got to like have my thing, and then she could just do the opposite of that thing, and it's fine.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Yep. That kind of. Yep.
Some of those concerts, I would hang out in the parking lot,
Yeah.
For some of these bands that like, or artists who are singer-songwriters, and I don't do singer-songwritery stuff.
Yeah.
I'll just hang out here with the parking attendants. I'm fine with that.
I will say there was a level at which Stevie Nicks struck me as being kind of badass because we talked last week about Steve being older than I am, and so he's seen stuff that I never would have seen.
Yeah.
And he said that back when Stevie Nicks first was a thing and Fleetwood Mac was a thing, women just weren't singer-songwriters. He said it just wasn't done.
Or they weren't at the front of rock bands. Yeah, not a lot of them. Yeah.
So sure. we were trying to like name, and I need to Google this, like singer-songwriters of the 70s, because we were trying to list them. It's like Carole King, Stevie Nicks.
Yeah.
I think Roberta Flack. I think she wrote her own songs, right?
I think so.
Joni Mitchell.
Yeah.
There's probably like one or two others, and that was it. He's right. This wasn't something that women did. And so it's like, yeah, all right.
Certainly, maybe a lot of women did it when they saw other women doing it, but they certainly weren't promoted for it. So like, It's that thing where it's still like very male dominated, and there's all this talent out there, and talent scouts aren't looking at them because they're women.
Yeah, exactly.
It's that kind of like that trap there. Like, yeah.
Yeah, so badass. And she even did a song that's really famous, and I don't know what it's called, but she wrote it when she was like 22 years old. I mean, it's just ridiculous. She wrote it in like an evening. And it's like her encore song. It's like such a famous song. So, So wow. Okay. So anyways, that's actually part of my World Series experience with seeing Stevie Nicks. So I'm not off topic. And so, so we've decided that Corey Seager wasn't, I need to understand why, but, and so obviously the next thing was Justin Turner.
Yep. Justin Turner.
So I have
my Dodgers may have finally won the World Series, and then Justin Turner may have also killed his entire team.
Yeah.
Thanks, Justin.
I haven't heard anything about further Dodgers COVID tests or results.
Yeah, they weren't allowed to leave Texas until they'd all tested clean, and so they each I think had 2 tests, and then everybody got to leave except Justin Turner and his wife.
Okay, good. So he didn't actually pass it on to anybody.
Right, and some of it is like. The whole bizarre nature of the thing is you would think they would have all had tests and tested positive before they were allowed to play in the first place. But somehow they find out that in the second inning, Justin Turner has tested positive, right?
That was weird.
So how was it that this test didn't happen in enough time that we knew who was positive or not before game time, right? So we didn't know until second inning. So he's already in the game, right? Now, at third base, you're not actually standing near anybody, right? And the way this game was going, it ain't like too many base runners got to third base.
That's right.
So for the most part, Justin Turner is standing out there by himself. But in the dugout, he was near his teammates. And at some point, he knew he tested positive, second inning. They left him in there until the results of his second test. Right, which they fast tracked, and that came back in the eighth inning. Right. Now we take him out of the game. Right. And I just think, man, like this is more of how it is clear that folks just aren't getting it. Right. It isn't like now we've discovered that you are for sure COVID positive, and now we should act. It's like the minute you discovered it, you had a choice to do a thing, which is to put him in the isolation away from the ballpark and away from everybody else, but you didn't do it. You just wanted to be sure with a second test, which you weren't doing for everybody else. You only did this because it was game 6. Right. If anyone else had one positive test in the second of that game, they're out and they're sent back. You know, I would have hated for it like I don't know, who's the 25th guy on the bench? He wouldn't have been there. Justin Turner got to be there. And then when his team wins and they're celebrating, he comes out with a mask on, okay? But then it's clear in my mind that he didn't want there to be photos of him wearing the mask. Yeah. Which is why the mask is coming down under his chin. It's why the mask came off altogether for the team photo, right? Yeah. Like all of this is like, you know, hearing the Dodgers say, well, who was going to keep him from being out there? Well, like your dead mom, maybe. You know what I mean? Like you do it so that you don't lose relatives, right? Who are at risk because your teammate wanted to be in the photo and have champagne doused over him. Yeah. Like you have to make a hard decision here. Yeah. You know, someone has to make a hard choice, because if you don't make a hard choice, what's the freaking point of being in the bubble in the first place? Right. The only thing that I think was his saving grace is that they were outside the entire time, right? They were playing, there was so much open air, right? Lots of open air, but he's hugging Dave Roberts, who's a cancer survivor. Yes. And it's like, man, like, don't you guys understand that it's not like we just gave you an opinion of a thing, right? You know what we think you ought to do? You ought to stay off that ankle. But like, as long as you're not running, you won't make it worse. You should really stay off that knee. But as long as you're not like entering a kumite or anything, like your knee will be okay. It's not that. You just tested positive for COVID, bro. And we don't know how severe your infection is. We just found out. So can you just get the hell up out of here? Yep. No, we can't get the hell up out of here because I need to be seen on camera. So like, unfortunately, yes, this is the way this is going to go for you. But next year, if we're at a vaccine and we're at a baseball, regular baseball season, and you're vaccinated and you get to the World Series again, you can have that experience that you missed this time, right? Because for sure, a lot of guys, there's a lot of teams who've had guys who like the team gets to the World Series, but they got injured in September, right? So they weren't on the roster, and their team is celebrating. They're guys who are critical of their team. How do they feel? Yeah. You get over it. Yes, it hurts. It sucks. Life's unfair, but there's a reason why you were doing this. Yeah. So, you know, be responsible, and someone has to be responsible for making you responsible. Yeah, if you're not going to do it yourself. Yeah. I read there's a good interview with an epidemiologist at The Athletic, and I should be able to tell you the title of the article and the author because that's citing your sources, and I didn't keep it to hand, but it was a very, very good idea to interview an epidemiologist, and he was very sympathetic to Justin Turner. Didn't think what he did was right, but he was very sympathetic to him. You know, one of the questions that the interviewer asked was, well, what about all these people who miss their weddings, you know, or miss their proms or miss their graduations, you know, all these things. And he said that the psychology there is a little bit different because you know you're going to miss your wedding, but you have all this time. You know, maybe your wedding was 3 months from now, or maybe your wedding was 3 weeks from now, but you have time to sort of build up to that day. In this past week, I had, in the past, basically, I guess, week and a half, I had a death in my family. Oh. One of my uncles passed, right? And, I'm sorry. And, thank you. His funeral was midweek this week, right? And I couldn't go. I chose not to go because my wife is at risk, right? And while I would have loved to like see my uncle off, I had to think about it like the distance I have to travel from my house to where this funeral is, right, is one thing. I don't necessarily know about the precautions taken by other people, even in my own family or my extended family. Like,
Exactly.
the funeral was like a max of 30 people, but can I guarantee that only 30 people will be there? It's 30
Right.
people. I know this funeral home, it's not a very big funeral home, right? So a max of 30 people, and that's a lot of people in an enclosed space.
That
I
is.
have ended all of my events at my shop because we can't have anybody larger. We can't have any events with more than 10 people, and
Right.
all of my events would be more than 10 people. So
Right.
if I have curtailed all of my event activity, and I can't even, and I don't even feel safe traveling across my city to go to a close family member funeral, right? Like, then I think someone can drink their champagne,
Mm-hmm.
right, and high five all their buddies 2 weeks after they recover from COVID
Yep.
at any outdoor event they want to go to.
Yep. Yep.
Justin Turner can afford to have people over at his house and
Uh-huh.
crack open bottles of Lagavulin and pour it into a swimming pool,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
He doesn't need the 45 minutes to an hour of, swarming interviews and I'm going to Disneyland and all this bullshit. Like, I feel
Right.
like at that point, yes, somebody who is postponing their wedding
Uh-huh.
can get married at a later date. Yes.
Uh-huh.
A lot of energy does get built into sort of the events that we see as landmark things for our lifetime. You
Uh-huh.
do not have just one wedding date, and that is the only date you can get married. It's that or bust. Some
Right.
people do design their schedule that way, but what he did and the way that happened makes me feel like there are a lot of people out here who are. One of my best friends' father passed away of COVID. Like, my uncle didn't even die of COVID, right? But my friend Jenny Spinner's dad did, right? Like, COVID killed her dad, and that dude was cool. Big baseball fan, huge Cub fan, right? And I knew Al Spinner, and to not, I would have loved to go to Al Spinner's funeral,
Yeah.
right? But like, some people didn't have funerals because COVID,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, cremations are up. Do you know what I mean? Like you have a choice here, Justin. And the reason you've gone through all of this is because the choices you have to make to keep people safe matter whether you win or lose the World Series.
Right. Right.
And I think that's what people are missing here. Yes, we understand that you wanted to celebrate with your teammates, right? But you have to also man up, suck it up, and celebrate with them later.
Yeah. And I would have said that exact same thing as you just said if Justin Turner were 25 years old.
Yeah.
Justin Turner is 35 years old.
Absolutely.
He should not have to be told. That is old enough to know better.
Absolutely.
25, maybe you need everybody to tell you.
22. Like, there's that, like, you're getting information from 19 different sources. To me, I hear that, like, but then they also say this, but then they say this, but then they say that. Yeah, they do. Yeah. But you're in the bubble because of what is most commonly held to be understood as how this stuff works.
Yeah, exactly.
So it doesn't make a difference if you can you get COVID twice? Or it doesn't make a difference if it's like, oh, I got a mild case of the COVIDs, right?
Yeah.
But I have no symptoms. Doesn't matter. We went through all of this.
Right.
To make sure there were no positive tests.
Right.
Remember the Marlins not being able to even play at the beginning of the season?
Yes.
Like, how many games? We started this podcast off with, will they even finish this season? Yeah. I thought we'd get like 8 weeks.
Yeah.
I thought 8 weeks and somebody's going to fuck this up.
Yeah.
Someone's going to Justin Turner this thing before we even out of August, right? Tops. It's easily going to be Justin Turner, right? And you just know the way those other positives, the way that it's spread through teams. Someone, who was it who played a game knowing that was it the Orioles? Did the Orioles play a game knowing that they had positive players on the field?
Yes, they did.
The Orioles played with the Phillies, I think it was.
Yep, they did.
They went into Philadelphia, played with the Phillies, and was stuck in Philadelphia for over a week. Because they took the field knowing they had COVID positive players on their team. With all of this, all Justin Turner has to do is go to the hotel, order the most expensive ass room service he can, and his teammates will check on them, stinking of dumb champagne. Yep. They will check on him later, right? Doesn't matter if you're out there high-fiving them. You won. You get a ring.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
I would have, when they told me, if I were him, when they told me that I had to leave the game now because I was COVID positive, my first concern legit would have been, crap, I sat here all day, like all game next to my teammates. I was putting them at risk then, right? Like
Yeah.
I feel bad enough about that the minute we know for sure I got to go, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Right? Now I'm just going to hope they don't need me, right? Like I don't want to feel like I let my team down. In the bubble, I got sick.
Yeah.
So we're going to find out later what strip clubs Justin Turner was at, where he snuck out to and how he snuck out, right?
Right.
How did his wife get out of the bubble? I don't know. Like, did they go cruising Texas? Who knows what the hell they did? He's the one, him. There's not, as near as we know, a chain of positive tests that lead up to him.
It has to be.
It's got to be, but no one said what that is yet. So he's the one in the World Series. That dude is the one who came up positive. Okay. So then I would just not want my team to need me for that last 2 innings and not have me and we lose. I feel horrible about that. But I'd also be like, my own actions got us there. But once we won it from the hotel, I can be like, hot damn, we won that shit. Yes. Yeah. Right? Yes, somewhere in my brain, I'm going to want to be back on this team. I'm going to want to fight again next year. I'm going to want to go back to back if I'm Justin Turner, because I do want that experience of celebrating with my teammates. Michael Jordan said after the second championship that he won, right? They were asking him which one felt like it was more of a bigger deal to him. And effectively what he said was, they're both great accomplishments, but the second one was kind of the one that really stuck with him. He was just glad because that one he won in Chicago, right?
Oh, wow.
The first one he won in Los Angeles. So like they celebrated in Los Angeles, but he didn't celebrate it with Bulls fans, right? So the drive to win again, he's naturally driven like crazy, super competitive. But the idea that this time you're going to win it on your home floor, it's not like he missed out on anything, but it's the other part of the experience of doing it on your home floor in front of your home fans in your city, right? Like if you're Justin Turner or an athlete who just misses it, that's the goal that you want. It's why it's so hard to repeat, because people wear down, but that's what's in your head is, how do I make up for this one thing that didn't go right last year? What's that motivation?
Yeah.
The motivation has to be, I want to celebrate with my teammates. Well, if I'm your teammates, there's 20 something guys on that team. And while a lot of guys might understand what he did, if I'm on that team, I'm the dude looking at him like, wait, they isolated you and you came back out and you was all up breathing in my face, high-fiving me with your COVID face. Yeah. Buddy, as soon as you recover, I'm kicking your ass. Yeah. Like I would be offended. I'd be like, this is an assault, man. Like, what do you, everything we went through, being apart from our families and all that stuff that baseball players are notorious for, like needing sameness and routine. All the routine they gave up, right? If I'm Javier Baez, I want to have a conversation with Justin Turner. Yeah. Like I can't have video like replay to like look at my at bats because cheating and COVID and all this kind of nonsense. And look at you, man. Yeah.
So that gives us an opportunity to talk about baseball's apparently short memory with the signing of AJ Hinch to the Tigers and the possible signing of Alex Cora to the Red Sox.
I am okay with that only because of what the White Sox did.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. If you put it in context, that is the lowest point you could possibly go.
I am fine with AJ Hinch getting a job. I'm fine with Alex Cora getting a job. And I want Carlos Beltran to get a managing job too. Yeah. Because I feel like with baseball, when baseball has a rule that gets broken, baseball is kind of iffy about like even wanting to acknowledge what went on. And they're real cagey about how they do a thing, and it's just never quite right. You know what I mean? It's always half-assed when it's baseball. You suspended AJ Hinch for a year. Okay, he got a year suspension. His year is up. You didn't punish any players. Yeah. The players told you exactly what happened. You gave them all immunity, but their manager was suspended for a year. Great. Okay, Dusty Baker got his job. All right. So now that's done with. It was only a year. He has the right to get hired by anybody who wants to hire him. And the Detroit Tigers don't give a shit what happened. They feel like those Astros must have been talented enough, with or without sign stealing, and AJ Hinch himself was clever enough as a manager. We're gonna hire the guy. My only AJ Hinch problem is it's not that the sign stealing happened; is that when it was happening, AJ Hinch apparently wasn't entirely down with it, but lost control of the clubhouse and couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're a manager who loses control of the clubhouse, you're not really a manager anymore.
Right.
Right. So that's my AJ Hinch issue. Like
Right.
AJ Hinch would have an answer for me. I need to know, bro, how'd you let Carlos Correa run your clubhouse?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
you know that when this comes out, the axe is going to fall squarely on your head. You're fighting for your job here.
Yep.
Yeah, if you don't ever get to the World Series or ever win the damn thing, that's gonna cost you your job anyway. But there's other jobs, right? Like I would fuck Carlos Correa. Like Carlos Correa, like to me is a complete pud, and I would rather manage Mike Trout, right? Like
absolutely.
Whoever manager Mike in California and Anaheim, he's getting fired. Like they suck. That dude's not keeping a job. If I'm AJ Hinch, I'm gonna say let me see if I can get there with the best player in the game, not named Mookie Betts.
Right.
That's what I'm going to ask myself, right?
Right.
But you're going to go to Detroit now. They're going to give you a gig, and Detroit's atrocious.
Yes, it is.
Right? You have a tough road to hoe here with Detroit, but he deserves a job.
Yeah, okay.
You know, he paid his penance, he deserves a job. Tony La Russa, on the other hand, right? Mr. Like, no fun baseball is coming back to Chicago for sure.
Right.
This dude not only decided to come out and speak out against players kneeling and Black Lives Matter and all this stuff. Not only did he speak out against it, right? This is also a dude who entirely presided over, when they talk about like world championships this dude won, he won them with dudes who were practically the steroid factory.
Exactly.
Right? So you can't tell me that Tony La Russa, Hall of Fame manager, like knows how to get it done. He invented the bullpen. We don't use bullpens the way we just talked in this podcast about the opener.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't use bullpens the same way anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just can't imagine Luis Robert and Tim Anderson and Jose Abreu and these guys playing with Tony La Russa and having the same damn amount of fun, because all La Russa gave a shit about was winning at the expense of every damn thing else. He didn't care who was popping what and shooting what and snorting what.
Right.
He didn't care who was beating their wives. He didn't care who was driving drunk. Him. He didn't care about any of it.
Yeah.
Right. And this is the guy we
need.
Yeah. Nah. Yeah. Oh, White Sox fans are gonna have a hard time next year.
Yep. I'm gonna definitely struggle with it, because I'm just unless that exuberance remains, you know, unless Tim Anderson remains in charge,
it's going to be a soap opera to watch.
Yeah.
Because there are young players right now on that team who are not going to have a problem. There are two people on that team who have won batting titles. There's an MVP on that team now, right? You bring this dude in, there are people going to tell Tony La Russa where he can stick it.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, yeah.
You know? Yeah. But if this team next year is stuck in the middle of the AL Central, it won't be because those players can't play.
Right.
Tony La Russa can't do anything for that pitching staff as far as I'm concerned. And I know how this happened. I know it was Tony La Russa's only got so many years left.
Yeah.
And he's concerned about his legacy. He called Jerry Reinsdorf up asking for a chance to fix his legacy. And Jerry Reinsdorf is the owner of the White Sox, is Mr. Loyalty. The White Sox whole front office is full of guys who played for the Sox, and it's totally like all of it is all very much White Sox family stuff, right?
Okay.
He's loyal to a fault. I know he's trying to help Tony La Russa out.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that Reinsdorf is like 84, 85 years old. Yeah. I know he wants another World Series before he dies.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to get there with Tony La Russa. Tony La Russa's legacy should not be more important than your team achieve the culmination of what they've been working for all this time coming through.
Right.
Because they're literally only more games and better pitching away.
Yeah.
You know?
They might just be a full season away. We don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. They fell apart in that last week of the season.
Exactly. Which,
if this were a regular season, right, that'd almost be all-star break time. And what you'd be looking for is which pitcher's going to step up if we don't have Lucas Giolito going hard, right? If Lucas Giolito ain't on fire, who's going to step up? Yeah. Right? Great. So we had Giolito, we had Keuchel. If Keuchel's not going, who's going to step up? Fine. Right. If we can't hit, if Tim Anderson, Luis Robert, and Nomar Mazara ain't doing the damn job, who's going to be that next guy? Who's going to carry us for 5 days, right? This is what your manager would have to figure out. You ran out of time. You just ran out of time.
Exactly. You know? That's all it was.
Yeah.
That's all it was. I don't, yeah, I mean, I guess the worry really is that Tony La Russa will just squish the life out of the team just with his presence, but maybe not, maybe they're just all a lot stronger than he is at this point.
Which is going to cause a problem.
Yeah.
Right. Every Hall of Fame manager that ever enters a locker room now in baseball, they're looking for players who are dying to hear their point of view on a thing.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's why they're there. Yeah. Dusty Baker, when he went to the Astros, he knew the talent on the team, but he's coming to bring that dustiness, right?
Yeah.
And he needs to know they want the dustiness.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? Like every manager who's been there and done that kind of needs a locker room, a bullpen or whatever, a group of players who are dying to play for them to get what they get out of this.
Oh, he needs an audience, huh?
Yes, they all need that.
Yeah.
The younger guys, it's like, well, I'm going to try not to fuck it up for my first year or two.
Yeah.
David Ross became manager of the Cubs. David Ross didn't go, I've got all this experience as a manager. Yeah. I got this. Look at my rings in despair, right? He didn't do that. No, he was like, all right, I know what Joe Madden did. And I kind of watched, and I sat I was a catcher on this other team and we won there. And I kind of watched. Okay, let me apply my knowledge, but let me take it easy, right? Because they still need to see me as a manager, not a player.
Right.
So you're pumping the brakes a lot going into your first season as a manager ever.
Right.
Next year, he's got a year of experience, right? But he hasn't won shit as a manager yet. Yep. So that's the thing you still got to earn.
Yep.
Right. Dave Roberts has been there and done that.
Right.
There's a lot of people who want Dave Roberts' experience. He was still, even when not winning World Series, that dude was still winning a lot of games.
Right.
So Dave Roberts' team is willing to listen to him. Give us that Dave Roberts-ness. We were here for it. We're no matter how talented the Dodgers are, they want to hear what Dave Roberts has to say because the dude was there when it was happening.
Right.
La Russa coming in, not even having been in baseball for 9 years or so, right? There ain't nothing these dudes are going to want to hear from this man who's already come out and spoken out against them.
Right.
What these players now stand for, he's already been against. So, yeah, all right. It's going to be interesting.
Yep.
They better go in their first 30 games. They might need to go 20-5. This is the workout. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like they need to blow people out of the water so that he can just be along for the ride and refill the Gatorade machine, buddy.
Right. Yeah.
We need more balls in that little pitching hopper thing. Put those in there.
Maybe that's what all these guys want really is to just let their light reflect back on them.
Yes.
Look good. I look good. Their light's shining on me.
Yes.
It's so, I was thinking.
There's also a window in front of you and you got like a natural light thing
happening. Yeah. Yeah, I've got some nice natural light here, but yeah, maybe that's the problem with La Russa is he's in a very dark place, which I kind of think, I mean, I don't know if he is or not, but I think people who say the things he said have to be in a pretty dark place. They have to be pretty cut off from people to not get that people feel and have thoughts.
I think a lot of guys have said some dumb things in terms of social justice in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
A lot of these dudes are hoping that all it is they get to talk about the dumb social justice things, but it's never going to come back to haunt them, right? Like a lot of people have so much pro the flag things, but it's not about the flag, right? You come out being super pro flag, super pro cop, and like we're not like this isn't the time or place for that thing, but then they put you in charge of young people.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's their message, right? That you're now that you were anti, and now you're supposed to lead them.
Yep.
Honestly, they'll still have careers after you're fired.
Yeah, after you're dead. Or dead and gone from baseball anyway. Right. How long La Russa will live.
Yeah, we're not trying to kill La Russa.
Yeah, no, we don't mean anybody try to kill La Russa. We mean La Russa's old. That's a code for La Russa. Yes. Really old, And I thought about Davey Johnson, coming in with the Nationals.
Yeah.
I think that was a different story. I mean, but Davey Johnson was obviously old. And I mean, Davey Johnson would have admitted it. He'd be like, yeah, I'm old.
Yeah.
And I guess they just felt like, look, we got nothing. We got nobody. This team's a mess. And we need somebody to just sort of guide them with soft hands while we get to where we're going. And that was Davey Johnson was like brought in to be nurturing.
Yeah.
And to be steady.
Because his general manager was going to bring in a whole lot of young talent.
Yeah.
Right. And somebody has to like kind of be an actual leader.
Yeah.
To these kids who are coming up who can hit the cover off the ball and run all over everything.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Not to be somebody to come in there and basically represent a roadblock for them.
Right.
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 You
Yeah.
know?
And they also, I think Davy Johnson was very clear that he was only there like he was basically a crutch for a year.
Yeah.
You know, he's like a substitute teacher.
Yep.
You know,
Fair.
it was just for a year, and he knew that. And that's a totally different setup, and one that I kind of appreciated because I wanted to see the Nationals go somewhere, and I think that was part of what made that possible. Whereas this does feel like kind of a roadblock in the way of the White Sox really shining. And I mean, even if, like you said, even if the White Sox go 20-5, which would be fantastic, and I would be just like pig and shit, just enjoying that so much, you know. But it's it's just kind of morally compromising, I suppose, for me. You know, we've talked about this more than once, you know, like a team that you can feel good about. You know, their names matter. The behavior of their fans matters. What they wear on their jerseys matters. What their leaders say matters. You know, how their owners spend their money matters. These things matter to us, to the fans.
And they certainly matter to a lot of these players now.
Yeah, which is really great to see. And I mean, the players like actually standing up and saying this matters to me was like one of the biggest, probably the biggest thing of this season. Aside from COVID, which, you know, you just can't ignore that. It cut the season.
I think like the number of things that came up, and like these players had to deal with, like the social unrest that comes from like police abuse of power, right? And like the murder of black men in the streets. They have to deal with COVID. They have to deal with a president who is like off the rails, right? Like there's so many things, all these things are happening like at the same time, and you're a young baseball player. Was effectively, by baseball standards, is being told to just hush up and play baseball, right? And when you're still out there like fighting, because this is the time where this fight has to happen in your life, right? Like we're both over 50, right? So as over 50 people, we've seen this fight before. We've been in this fight before, and we're still in the fight. It's not our first go round. For some of these players who are 22, 23, 24, this is their first literal chance to use their position to affect change. Right. And they're kind of a lot of times being told, no, don't affect that change. But when your manager and your general manager and everybody's supporting you in your efforts to see that change happen, right? Like now's the time. And then you hire Tony La Russa, and it's like, okay, so look, man, it's a problem. This is going to be a problem. Yeah. And I hope it is. I mean, I kind of hope they fight him. I hate to say that. Like you said, it could be a soap opera, but maybe it's just as well if it is. I mean, but you also kind of, the best case scenario is Tony La Russa, having said what he said, is going to be faced with what he said, and then having to face those players, and he's going to have a come to Jesus moment where, all right, maybe he didn't know every damn thing before he ran his mouth, right? Yeah. So now you can make that right. Yeah. You know, you can make that right by saying, I didn't know what I didn't know. Then. Yeah. And that would be awesome. Someone can come to you. Someone can come to you with new information and say, okay, so you spoke on this thing. Maybe you didn't know everything about it. Let us tell you what's going on. Let's show you that thing. And then when I can think in my lifetime, a number of times which I held an opinion about a group of people or a particular like social opinion or something like that. You know, you think the way you think because of how you grew up and where you're from and who you've interacted with. But now when you're kind of faced with the people for whom those things relate to, it is very difficult to be around people every day and hold opinions about them that are not in their best interest. Yes. Really hard to do. Racism does not survive encounters with the people you're being racist towards if you're with them every day. This doesn't work. It just can't happen. Sure, you can be clueless enough to still believe some dumb shit about your, you believe dumb things. I've worked with people who've said some ridiculous racist things and they're like, we've worked together for 5 years. How could you believe that thing? Now that you're challenging them on it though, is when now it's like, oh, the thing I thought about that group of people includes you? Yeah. Ah, shit, I didn't think about it that way. Right? Well, a lot of folks, that's what it comes down to. I thought we were only talking about those people over there. Yeah. But you're not like those people. But I am like those people. The difference is you know me. You don't know them, but you know me. So if you think this about them, you also think this about me. That's how you feel? Ah, shit. Yeah. Okay, I got to rethink this now. Yes, you do got to rethink this now. And that's how it is for all of us. Yep. You have to rethink it. And it's possible. Tony La Russa has lived this long and understands how to make that adjustment, learn those things, learn those lessons, so he can speak to those players openly and honestly so that they know maybe they do have the best guy for the job. I don't think they do. Yeah. I'd rather they'd have hired Buck Showalter.
Oh, me too.
You know, I'd rather they'd hire Ron Washington.
Yeah, me too.
You know,
yeah.
like there's a number of guys who've retired. Find Kenny Lofton. Does Kenny Lofton want to manage? Give Kenny Lofton a shot, right?
Yeah.
Find some dudes. I know Ricky Henderson probably love to manage a damn baseball team,
Oh,
right? Like, if I'm gonna be experimenting and just spitballing, I can find you any number of retired black baseball players.
Yeah.
Who might want to guide some young men to the World freaking Series.
Yeah.
It ain't got to be Tony freaking La Russa.
Yeah.
I just.
Yeah.
He had his chance. He did his thing. He won some World Series. We're moving on now.
Exactly.
Because for sure, the St. Louis Cardinals were more toxic with that dude.
Yeah.
And Mark McGwire is Anderstein Dione.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
And they managed to prevail.
Yeah.
Right? They managed to prevail. Man. No, Tony La Russa succeeded with the Cardinals because the Cardinals had such talent. There, whether he
was the Jim Edmonds Cardinals, right?
Yeah, he had Yadi
freaking Jim Edmonds.
He had Jim Edmonds. He had.
To be fair, everyone who's ever managed the Cardinals had Yadier Molina.
Yeah.
He's been on the team since its inception.
Yeah, yes, he has. Yes, he has. That's how long he's been there, and he's managed so many great pitchers. But you had Carpenter. After Carpenter, you had Wainwright. Pujols. You had Pujols. Of course, the Cardinals won.
Yeah, Pujols in his prime.
Yep, Pujols in his prime. So of course the Cardinals won. I'm not giving that to La Russa. La Russa was there. Maybe he helped. You remember that? Remember that game where he had the lighting guys at Busch Stadium cut the lights?
Yes.
And I had everybody sit around for like an hour and 40 minutes before.
Yes.
That's some tactics. Okay, fine. So you have some tactics, but no, those guys would have won. I think
they would have won without that. You're right. Yes.
Yeah. So we'll see. So I guess in sum, what we're saying is that this is a disappointing hire. Yep. It concerns us, and we're worried about losing our sparkly, beautiful, exuberant White Sox.
Yep.
And their cohesion.
We're gonna be watching this next season with like a hawk.
Man, we're gonna have our microscope on that. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, but maybe La Russa won't even maybe he'll just have like a recliner with like the containers for like beers and whatever.
That's the other thing we don't know yet. Like we don't know what his bench staff is. We don't know his pitching coaches and his hitting coach and all this. Like a lot of times, like I think in a lot of sports, you spend more time with your specific position expert dude than you're going to spend with your actual manager, right? So for those hitters, they're going to be batting cage, hitting coach, strategy, right? Like he's going to make a lineup card out, but to get better, they need to have some expert dudes on that bench who can help them all individually achieve what they need to achieve. Tony La Russa has to be the guy to pick them. Right? So if he picks the right guys, this isn't an issue.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what we'll watch first. We won't have to wait for the first game or even spring training. We'll watch and see what the forthcoming, how that forthcoming staff takes shape.
But the first time there's a massive home run and a bat flip, the camera's going straight to Tony La Russa.
Yeah, it is.
Got to say about that, Tony. If he's my manager and I flip that bat, he's got anything to say, I'm going to flip it again.
Yeah. And let's see how many guys come
dance like
wearing Black Lives Matter t-shirts, So many guys come to batting practice wearing Black Lives Matter t-shirts.
Absolutely.
I want to see that. And I want to see La Russa ban him. And I want that to be the headline.
I want to see him try.
Yep.
Because in this town, for where that ballpark is located, this is going to be hot. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, man.
They might need to move that team out by the airport if he's going to pull that kind of shit.
Let us hope that we'll be really mobile by third quarter 2021 so that I can come and see a game, a live White Sox game, a live White Sox home game. It should be easy to get tickets. I never see that stadium full. So
tickets are not expensive at all.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah, they are absolutely not. Every time I've gone to a White Sox game, it's been like, I can't believe you guys still have tickets. But of course you still have tickets. So many tickets.
Yeah, they're like, take your pick. Take your pick. Yeah. Buy a cheap ticket. Come on down and sit in the front row. No problem.
The food options at that park are great. Yeah. I love seeing games there.
Let's look forward to
eat my way around the ballpark.
Let's look forward to that. Let's believe that's going to happen because I kind of do. I think by June we'll be able to get out and about. I think that'll be.
How'd your blizzard turn out? How much snow do you have?
Oh, we didn't get that much here at home. We got 4 to 5 inches.
Okay.
But over the fires, they got more like 10 to 12 to 15.
Oh, good. Okay.
So, but I haven't actually checked in on the news for this past week, and I don't know. I mean, this coming week has me, frightened for obvious reasons. And
Sure.
you know, the 538.com says we probably won't know the actual winner of the election until Friday.
Yeah. Hey, that's some shit. Like,
Yeah,
America, the interregnum.
yeah, we'll call that the longest week
Nobody
of my
wants that.
natural life.
Yeah.
And and I am worried because I mean, Steve is very, very wrapped up in his schoolwork right now, right? Because he's gone back to school to
Yep.
get his degree. And he says that's how he's coping, is he's just so busy, it lets him compartmentalize.
Yes.
But
Yes.
he does actually listen to the news, which I don't do. I protect myself from the news. And I asked him this morning, emotionally, how do you carry this around? And he says, I don't, I just compartmentalize it. Just pay
That's
attention
exactly how you do
to
it. Yes.
Yeah. So I just block it out because he was telling me stories this morning about, pickup trucks trying to force a Biden-Harris
Texas. Yes.
in Texas and East Texas. And I mean, that stuff like really
Ram the
freaks
car
me
of a staffer. Yeah.
out. Yep. So more violence in the next few days. And who knows? I don't know how
My
you
plan
feel.
is as soon as the polls are open in my area is when I'm voting. Lisa's already voted.
Yeah.
She did early voting like a couple weeks ago in our city here. But like I have the benefit of like our neighborhood is largely residential, like lots of just single family homes right where we live. And so I can just kind of go to our polling place, which is like a middle school. It's kind of, we've never had longer than a 30-minute wait, right? So
Oh,
I
excellent.
know there might be lines because of social distancing now. So we voted in the primary, there was also like social distancing lines then, but that was the primary. At this stage, I'm gonna get there the minute they open and just go to work from there, not even go back home, just going to work. Because I don't know if I can go to home, watch any of the news by election day. I'm just gonna go to work and start like sorting comics and stuff.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, just be with your comic books. I
might record like that day before any of my comics. It's Tuesday, so it's like delivery day for my comics. So I might just record 2 or 3 different YouTube videos about comics. Well, so I'm gonna be there so early. Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I would do that. Yeah, I would do that.
So far, I've been recording like I've been getting like an episode a weekend, but like my episodes are only like 5 minutes long tops. So I could just kind of record a few and then upload them later. Yeah,
that's right. You get a lot done in advance. And then go from there. Yeah. So anyway, in the summer, I've been kind of trying to block out the news, and that means not even knowing anything about the wildfires. But there hasn't. I mean, the air is pretty clear, so they must be making some progress. They really must be making some progress, and I will follow up on that. But yeah, it was really pleasant here. It was nice and cold. We're going to have another warm week, so sort of ridiculously warm. Going to be up in the 70s.
Yep.
Mid 70s.
That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, so we'll see.
So your snow will be gone.
The snow, it has been gone. Yeah, the
Oh
snow.
yeah, it's already gone. You had 5 or 6 inches of snow and it's gone already.
It melts the next day. Yeah.
Oh wow. All right.
Yeah.
We've had that happen here, but it wasn't like 5 inches worth. 5 inches worth would tend to stick around by just reflecting more sunlight and making it hard to melt. Yeah. 1 or 2 inches could be gone with a temperature change, but we only have flurries here. We haven't had any snow stick yet. And even right now, it's like nice and sunny for the most part. Just and cold.
It's a reasonably warm day today too. Weren't you saying it's like in the 40s?
Yeah, it's like I'm pretty sure it's probably our high was 40 today.
So it's a good day for baseball.
Yeah, right.
Where's the baseball? It's a great day for baseball.
It's 46 right now. No, that's in Toronto. Hold on. Oh. I do this thing with my weather app where I have cities that my friends live in.
Oh, nice.
They're all like. It's 36 right now in Chicago, high of 40. And then I think you're in here. Let's see. You're not in here. Okay, I'll put you in. Let's put Denver. Ooh, wait, cancel. I don't want to hit the wrong button. Legion of Fan, we're doing all kinds of things on this podcast.
Yes, we are. There. But mostly baseball. You'll see when I make.
Oh my God, it's like 71 there right now.
Yeah, it's going to get warmer because we usually have our warmest part of the day is usually like 4 or 5 o'clock.
This would drive me nuts if it was 70 degrees on November 1st.
I know, right?
I don't know what my internal body temperature situation would even be like for that to be the case.
Yeah, Yeah, you know,
Wow.
it's kind of weird because like your body rolls over. Your body says, I need to be wearing jeans. Well, I'm not
Yes.
shorts weather. Your body says, I should have socks on. Well, no, you can wear your sandals. You know, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
wait a minute, it's November 1. After a while, you get confused and you don't really know what month it is and you have to look it up.
Yeah. Yeah. That seems odd. Yeah. I don't know.
So it's actually a good day for spring training. Yeah.
Yes. Totally is. Players should be out there like doing sit-ups and stretching.
Yeah.
When torn hammies.
Yeah. Maybe Justin Turner is out there all by himself.
By himself. Somewhere.
All by himself.
Got
Yeah.
a whole floor to a hotel all by himself.
Well, I'm glad nobody got sick. I'm glad nobody had to learn the hard way. I'm glad.
And that's just so far, right? Like they
Yep.
were exposed to him and they've been tested, but no, so far, no positive tests. We still have time for there to be positive tests.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
That's true. Well, fingers crossed that nobody gets sick.
absolutely.
You know, the only other thing I wanted to talk about, I think I will save.
Okay.
But it is more Mookie Betts conversation. And we have Mookie Betts every episode. Legion.
Excellent.
And Mookie Betts is like a segment that we return to repeatedly in the course of an episode. So not to worry.
Right.
More Mookie Betts.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, sign us out, Beth.
I will sign us out. A shout out to our friend Jake Cutler. We didn't get around to talking to him today, but he showed up in interesting ways this week, and it was interesting to watch. So, hey, Jake, come and hang out with us, and so maybe things will change for you, dude. And a shout out to him, and a shout out to the Dodgers, and especially to Mookie Betts, who is the drop third strike MVP of
Absolutely.
the series.
Blake Snell is our drop third strike Cy Young winner.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Yeah. A repeat, not year upon year, right? Because he wasn't Cy Young last year.
I think he was Cy Young last year.
He was last year. All right.
Yeah.
So yeah, year upon year, he's our Cy Young repeat. Yeah, we love you guys.
Yep.
We love all you guys. Thanks for playing baseball for us this year. We know it wasn't easy. Look forward, Legion of Fan, to a pretty great off season with me and Terry. We are going to have too much fun. We barely teased it today. So we'll see you next week. And in the meantime, it's going to be a tough week. Just breathe, and know that we're all in here and in it with each other. So turn into the love.
Thank you, Beth.
Yeah. Goodbye, Terry. Until next time.
Later. All right.
Okay. Be
Bye.
safe.